This is Saye and welcome to the Miss Sayé Show. Today we have lovely Smith with us. She has started this very creative lane and she owns it. And I am super excited to share with you guys about what she does. And I'm super excited to learn from her because we all can benefit from what she's doing. Welcome to the show, Smith. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Miss Sayé, for having me. This is such a pleasure.
Absolutely. I have so many questions. And first, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, how you came about, owning this and just pursuing it as a profession?
Sure. So my name is Smith Banfield. My company is called ClearSpace. And I really kind of muddled through a lot of jobs throughout my life. I would get bored after, 8 months and be like, what's wrong with me? I ended up working with my it's true. I ended up working with my husband just because I didn't really know what to do. I wasn't enamored with a lot of my jobs. I was helping him with his business. And that was just too much. It was stuff I wasn't good at. It was data entry and doing different things for his business that I didn't have a passion for. And I literally asked the universe, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I went on a road trip, and literally 3 weeks into that trip, I was driving on I-95 and I heard a voice in my left ear and it said, "You're a home organizer." And I didn't know what that was. This is back in 2012. And I was like, home organizer, like, what is that? And kind of looked into it and I was like, oh, that seems about right. And I just kind of went to the sense of, but it's got to be beautiful. Like, we have to create order, but in the most beautiful way. We're not just grabbing plastic bins. We're not just like jury rigging stuff just to solve a problem. We have to do it in an aesthetic way. And that's where I went to school for art, and it was a way for me to really be able to bring my artistic endeavors into like a three-dimensional space.
Wonderful. And how long ago was that road trip?
So that was in November of 2012, and I started my business the following January of 2013.
Beautiful. And also for me, when things are organized, when things are clear, my mind is more at peace and I just feel more grounded and at the place of my power. And I think it's beyond just organizing. I really think that there's a spiritual aspect into this. Could you share with us your thoughts on that?
Well, there is this idea, and everyone's stuck at home now. So it's really easy for you to feel how things are in your home. You walk into a messy kitchen, how does that feel? As opposed to maybe opening up an organized drawer. There's like, you can really, if you take a minute to see, how do I feel right now? It's all connected because there's knowledge in everything belonging somewhere. And what people don't like to do is figuring out where it should go. Like, they're going to pick the wrong place, or they're not going to do it right. And what I teach is that it's your sense of order that we have to create. It's not my sense of order. I'm listening to my clients about what's important to them, what they need, when they need it, how they need to find it. And that's how we create it. It's not my rules. It's really, I take their needs and process them and then create a system based on that.
I think we lost. Oh, here you're back.
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. So you really work hand in hand, and you really personalize this. It's not that you just go inside of one house and you bring the same setup that you used in the previous, and you just try to fit in that house. It's totally personalized, and listen to them that how they want to feel.
Yeah. And it's not, because it's never the same. People have different needs, and there's this idea where people say, oh, you're a baby, a child, a teen, then an adult. Like, we never change as adults, but we're changing all the time. And that's something, that's like a big message I want out into the world, is people don't go through their belongings often enough. They forget, they think they remember everything, but I've witnessed too many surprises over the years with my clients. Like, oh, that's where this was. And oh, I have 15 of these because I could never find it. And we shouldn't be in those positions, because the reason why we feel so good in a clear space is because we know where everything is. We know what we have. We're confident. And it's really hard to have any sense of confidence when the place is a disaster and it just kind of like the walls start closing in. But it's a vicious cycle because it's all tied to shopping, right? people are like, oh, I have so much, I don't know how it got here. Well, you want to start looking at your shopping habits. What's making you want to shop? What's making you press the buy button? And right now, with all that's going on in the world, people are looking for escape. And I want people to start recognizing, what are you buying when you're scared? What are you buying to bring you peace? What are these things that you're bringing in? And I would even challenge people, for the past 6 weeks, take a look at your Amazon order thing. Like, what have you ordered? And are they panic buys? Are they fear buys? Are they to soothe you? And people think I don't want them shopping. It's not about that. I want you to just think through the shopping process, because we have way too many options now, way too many choices, and people don't know how to control that. And that's where they get kind of in over their head.
Very, very timely advice. Thank you for that. Beautiful. And when you walk into space, do you normally start from a certain, how do you know which one takes priority, which one you should take care of first, and how do you go about it?
Well, so there's two different ways. If I'm doing the work versus my client working on their own, or if I'm giving advice to someone who's going to do it themselves, I have a strategy that I've always done. And typically for me, it doesn't matter where I start, because we're touching everything in the house. I typically want to start, and I advise people who are doing the work themselves, start in a space that's going to make you feel really good when you're done. So typically I say the bedroom or the kitchen. You want to create this sense of peace. So it depends on the person. If you don't cook much and you know, order in, or just don't really care that much about the kitchen, then the bedroom's going to be your number one spot. Bathrooms for some people, right, is like a little oasis to kind of like escape and take a shower and have that space feel really comfortable. And the big trick though, if you're about to take on reorganizing an entire home, I always say you want to start with your deep storage spaces, your attic, your garage, your basement, your closets that you just shove things into, because that's going to be the stuff you're less attached to. It's going to be older. And when you pull that out, you're creating space to take all the things that are in your everyday eyesight and kind of move those into the closet spaces. So we want to really strategize how the storage is used, and to know, oh, this is something I use once a month. It doesn't have to be on the counter every day. This is something I use every day. I need it in arm's reach. So we start just analyzing, and this isn't about analyzing every single thing. It's analyzing what's important to you in each room at the time.
Also, about people who like to hold on to things, and they say it has a sentimental value to me. But then it becomes the whole attic, becomes a whole garage that has sentimental value, and they don't even see them or touch them or around them, but they still want to hold on to them. What is your advice for that?
Well, it's tricky, because I get this question asked a lot, not for the person, but for maybe their mother. You know, like, what can I tell my mother to make her let go? What can I tell my husband, right? And my biggest advice is you got to stay in your own lane. And the best thing you can do is be an example. But for truly sentimental things, I challenge people to take photographs of these items and see, don't you get warmed and filled up just from the actual idea of it just being in a photo? You can still visit. I mean, think about photos of your friends, and it's not the same as wrapping your arms around your friends and hugging them. These things you're just going to look at. You know, they're not necessarily going to change. And this happens a lot with a lot of my clients who have a really hard time understanding that their baby is grown, right? And this, sometimes it's someone's heading off to college and the mom still can't let go of their baby clothes. And I will say the same thing about taking photos, but in those moments, if you have a photo of the child in that outfit, that is going to be way more meaningful than like holding up this little thing that the kid couldn't fit into, you know, for 17 years. So this is something that I don't force this on anyone. There's no way I force it on anyone. The one thing I say to people is, if you don't deal with this, you are leaving a burden for someone else to take care of. And that's the part of it that I think it gets people sometimes like, oh, they, you know, like I have many of my older clients are like, oh, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. And then I'm like, well, this collection of dolls that you think your daughter wants, You better
Right.
ask her, because that's what I find is we're so much in this weird place of, you know, my mom was a collector. My dad was a collector, and like we had tons of stuff in the house, but I don't want any of that stuff. I don't have any interest in it. So do I feel
Right.
guilty and hold it, or do I let it go into the hands of someone who could truly be benefited by it?
Right. Right. Very interesting because this past week I went and got a whole bunch of frames that had many old pictures from the attic. And my fiance was like, "Oh, where are you taking those?" I was like, "I'm going to replace them with new photos." He said, "No, but," I was like, "What? When was the last time you see these?" He's like, "I don't know, like, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago." I'm like, "Did you miss them?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, what's the point now?" And we looked at it. I was like, "Who is this person?" And he couldn't even say the name of these people. And I said, "Okay, so what do you, like, when will they be used? Who will use these people? At least let me use these frames. The frames are beautiful and I like to put new photos in them." So just that when during that dialogue, how his thought changed, it was very beautiful to see,
Yeah.
because it's just a kind of a habit of let me hold on to things. And just that's something that you would tell them, like, this will become a burden for somebody, and that clicks and their thought pattern changes. And I like that very much. It's like a growth in a
It
in
is. It is, and it's allowing that, you know, if you were to come and be like, you have to get rid of this, that's a different energy, right? But if
right,
you're curious
right,
and you're gentle and you're interested and you're trying to like understand their perspective, then it goes much better. And I find that I'll start with a client who's adamantly not getting rid of anything. They just want me to organize what they have. And then by the end, they can just see like, oh, this space feels so good. I don't want to clutter it with these boxes of things that really don't matter. So I think it's like you really be the change that you want, number one. But number two, it's like just be curious. Don't put anyone on the spot. Just be curious of like why it's important, why it's meaningful. Just a lot of those little questions. And there's a ton of that in my book about like all the questions that I ask throughout the process. So it's endless.
very interesting. Also, I know that you have a book.
I do.
I'm super excited to read that. I know that you put it together. It was basically your notes and things for yourself, and then you decided to turning into the book. Can you please tell us a little bit about your book, and also how people who are watching could actually obtain a copy, including myself?
The book itself, I broke up into two parts because I want people to understand why they have so much, how it got there, what they need to know about themselves going forward to make different decisions. And then once we've done all that work, which is you don't have to lift a finger for that, it's just a lot of thought, then we move into taking action. And I start with your, you know, like I said, attic, basement, all of that stuff, really understanding how and when we should use closets versus drawers versus shelves, the pitfalls of those areas,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, real strategies of like, you just don't go buy a bunch of containers and wing it. The containers are the very last part. It's the most fun part, right? Everyone wants to do that up ahead of time. But you really want to do it in the right order, and then you will have success. And I think a lot of people just run out to the container store, buy a bunch of
Right.
crap, and then they're pissed they can't get organized, when it's like you're putting the cart before the horse. You really have to follow a methodology to get there.
And where can we get your book?
So my book is available on balboapress.com.
balboapress.com.
And also you can get it on Amazon. I
Oh,
do
it's on
have
Amazon.
yeah, it just came up on Amazon, and I'm hesitant to say it just because there have been a few glitches, but it just went up. So
Is it
that's great.
digital or hard copy on Amazon?
So there's a hardcover, there's paperback, and there's also the ebook. So whichever
Lovely. I love
floats
ebooks.
your boat. Yeah. And
So
if for
good.
one reason you can't find it on any of those places, you can go to my website, which is clearspacenyc.com, and there's a link for the book there as well.
So good. Thank you. And we can also include the link in our post for
Oh,
everybody who's
great.
watching. If during this time, as we're spending more time at home, if someone wants to get up and, you know, they have the willpower and they say, okay, I'm gonna clean that closet, and coming from an expert like you, what are the 3 questions or 3 thoughts that you recommend for them to have before they get up and actually take action? How should they think, or the questions that they need to ask themselves before they go about doing hands-on clearing space?
Well, I would say the number one is to understand your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you want to organize this closet? Okay. And it might be, you know, there's stuff in there that you need to make room for other things to clear out your current space. You also want to, this is a good one. This makes people think a lot. It's like, is the stuff I have around me and that I'm holding on to, does it describe me? Like, do I want to be defined by these things? Now, let me tell you, people are like, oh no, those are not my things anymore. Because that's again, another benchmark of growth. When we can say, those used to be my things. I used to be that type of person. Now I'm this kind of person. And even, I would say, dream into the future of the person you want to become. Would the person you want to become, or a person you idolize, or a person you aspire to be, would they have these old things laying around? Would they have dust bunnies in the corners of like under your bed that you're storing the stuff that you feel guilty about? And I say my biggest one for people, because clothes are a big deal. If you are holding on to clothes that do not fit you, whether they are too big or too small, you need to get rid of them, because either way, you're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to judge yourself because they don't fit. And it's not allowing that, like, you're not 16 anymore. You're not necessarily going to fit in those jeans, and it's okay. And I think it's a lot about making peace with where you are now and where you want to go, and letting go of who you were. And just, again, being excited about inviting in new energy.
I love that. I very much appreciate you verbalizing that, because I think I'm going to think about that and celebrate it, because you say, I have evolved. That's why this doesn't serve me anymore, because I have grown from this to something better. And I also liked when you said, have things that you want to become. It's kind of like your dream board. That you put something that you're going to grow into that. You're not there yet, but you idolize it. I think that's beautiful. So it's so much more than just clearing space. I love how you bring different aspects into this. Another aspect of your work, you also help with moving. Did I do my research right? Is it? Your moving is your favorite. Now there is something wrong with you. Not before. How could moving be your favorite thing? Could you please explain to us? Maybe we could learn to find joy in that as well. Like you.
Yes, I love change. I really, really do. And I learned, I think before my husband and I moved here about 13 years ago, I realized like how easy it was for me to deal in chaos.
Wow.
And my husband cannot, like, and like to witness that, where I was like, but it's all going to get put away. Like, I was so confident that it would be fine. He was paralyzed, could not think. And there is that. There are people who are very organized, who the second there's disorder, it's like panic. So what I've done is I do move management for high net worth individuals and families, because my feeling was, if you have the means, why would you live amongst boxes? Why would you even live amongst boxes for 2 weeks? Why would that be okay? And what my team does is we come in before the move. We go through everything, just like we were going to organize your space in the old space. So we know everything you have, and we start talking about, where's this going to live in the new place? Where's this going to live in the new place? And so basically that's information for me. On moving day, my clients are, they've got too many things to think about. And so we're just executing. And so we're able to get a family of 4 and 4,000 square feet moved in less than 24 hours. Like, it's just a well-oiled machine. And I shouldn't say it's hard for me to sell. People don't believe it. It's very hard for them to believe that we can execute so quickly. And I've even had times, and I will, say this about my team. I love my team, but there are times my team's like, I don't think we can do it. And I'm like, yeah, we can. Like, there is no. Like, we're going to get it done. And it's just my intention of seeing it through. I want to, because I have the vision. I know exactly how it's going to look. And so I'm not ready to stop until it gets there. And then I just have to keep enrolling my team, like, oh, just there, and we're done. And it's incredible. It's like one of my favorite things is being on moving jobs. I love it. Love it.
That's incredible how much joy you find in something that most people are running away from. I definitely think I would love to work with you. I definitely can benefit from your knowledge and how positive you go about it. You know, moving, organizing is not necessarily something that we all, you know, have a big smile on our faces when we do it, but you do it so positively and with so much joy. I think that's very important. I'd rather be around that. So I am very grateful that you came to our show today. I hope that you can come back and talk more about organizing and clearing the space and clearing our mind and the connection between the mind and body and your space, all that. I'm very interested in. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Miss Sayé Show, and I hope to see you soon again, Smith. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Miss Sayé. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for watching the Miss Sayé Show with Smith, Clear Space, and hope to see you guys next week.